What's up guys, it's Speed here, and today I'm going to be talking about 3 heroes in each bracket that you should not be picking, and on top of that, I'm also going to tell you what hero you should pick instead of that exact hero. So if you guys are excited for this video, please click the like button right now. Actually, let's obliterate it, try to get to 3K likes for this video, and yeah, let's hop right into it. And briefly, before we move on, I just want to let you guys know that over on the main GameLeap website, I just made 2 top tier videos in my opinion. Number 1, I made a video talking about the 2 unheard of supporting tricks in Dota. Basically, apparently people don't know what Force Attack does. Sure, if you don't immediately know, based off me saying Force Attack, you don't. And it's actually the most important thing for trading in Dota, and that's not an over-exaggeration. So, if you've never heard of that and you want to learn some other supporting tips, or you want to hear about my new Oracle course that I just created, I did an intro, which I talk about skill builds, item builds, talent builds, all of that, and early game replay analysis, and late game replay analysis. If you want any of that stuff, I recommend you check out the website. We put a lot of effort in every single day to bring you guys the best content, and just good stuff overall, so go give it a shot, click the link down below. Now let's get into the video. So for the Herald or Guardian bracket, let's get into the first hero that I do not recommend that you pick, and that is Storm Spirit. Let's be real, Storm Spirit is a very difficult hero for a plethora of reasons. Number 1, you have to farm, but also you often will feel the temptation to fight within the early game. This hero naturally just has the ability to go for kills, however, when you do, you grief your game, and a lot of players just simply can't balance between the fact that you need to farm and you need to fight, right? If you look at a top tier Storm Spirit player, they'll often be ganking side lanes here and there, but they'll also be able to keep their last hits, or CS, very high throughout the game, and frankly, I think Herald and Guardian players are going to struggle with that, and for that reason, I really don't recommend you pick Storm. On top of that, Storm Spirit requires absurd mechanical skill. If you want to play this hero at the highest level, you have to know how to manage overload, like to the T. You know, I've been coaching so many Storm Spirits throughout the years, and even Ancient and Divine players, like, they just mess up overload over and over and over again. Get it? And that just greases you. So instead, I recommend you pick Sniper. I know you might not want to hear this, but the reality is Sniper sits in the back, no one jumps you, and you get away with it scot-free. Just buy a Mask of Madness, like a Maelstrom and a Dragon Lance, and just, you're gonna peep them from the back line. It's pretty dang good. Next up, let's talk about BATRIDER, and I really don't recommend you pick BATRIDER, even though I think this hero, if played properly, could dominate this bracket. I really do believe that. So if you want to play BATRIDER, I recommend you watch a video or something like that on the topic, but otherwise, people kind of just throw him on BATRIDER. Why? Because he's complex. This hero doesn't really make sense. You know, you don't like hop into Dota for the first time and you're like, oh, I understand what BATRIDER does. No, this hero is like Morphling. You don't really understand it until a long time after you get into the game. And for that reason, you're better off just picking Underlord. I mean, if you don't understand what Underlord does, how? The hero just gains damage and denies creeps and gets last hits, puts down a pool of damage, and then puts down a pool of root. It's really self-explanatory, and on top of that, it's really strong because you're hard to kill. And if you guys know anything about low MMR games, generally the heroes that are hard to kill or hard to jump do well. That's the reason why Sniper does well. It's the reason why Necro does well, and I'll be talking about that in a second. It's the reason why Underlord does well. So pick Underlord instead of BATRIDER. Next up is Nature's Prophet, and this hurts me to say because frankly, Nature's Prophet is just such a great hero. I mean, who doesn't love Nature's Prophet? I even made a video recently talking about mid-Nature's Prophet, which you guys should check out right after this video. But the reason why I'm bringing up Nature's Prophet is because this hero has an absurdly low win rate within the low MMR bracket. In fact, its current win rate is 45%, which is obviously lackluster. So what is the reason for this? I think there's a couple of reasons. As a Nature's Prophet spammer myself, I understand that how you win with this hero is well, there's a couple main ways. You spawn treants in lane, number 1, and for some reason people decide to take teleport and sprout at level 1 in that bracket. I don't know why, but you have to take treants, and then in combination with your hero, you last and deny every single creep. If you practice this multiple times a day, and you're in that bracket, and you can deny 20 creeps by the 5-minute mark, I guarantee you'll win 80% of your matches. As long as you do the second half, which is farming, but people don't do that. For some reason, split pushing is just not done well. I know it's actually a complex topic. It's like, oh, shouldn't I just show up to every single fight? Right? No, that's not really how you win in Dota. You have to show up to the good fights, and you have to create good engagements. And Nature's Prophet is actually extremely good at that, and that's why the hero has a 49.19% win rate in Divine and Immortal, right? However, it's 45% down here, which is simply really bad. So instead, you should just pick NECROPHOS. Honestly, it's just another ranged offlaner that dominates the lane, and the hero instead has a 54% win rate. Yes, 54, and that's because NECROPHOS is simple. You can buy no regen items and get away with it, which I don't recommend, but you can. It's not good, but you can. And yeah, the hero's just relatively straightforward, and once again, hard to kill. Is Nature's Prophet hard to kill? Yes, if you buy certain items, but people don't usually do that. Now let's get into the Crusader and Archon bracket, moving up the tiers a little bit. So number 1 is Earth Spirit, and I know for all you Earth Spirit spammers down there, you're like, oh, Speed, if I hit my spells properly, this hero can be deadly. Yes, the hero can be great. Earth Spirit is one of those heroes, if you understand it at a high level, your ultimate, it does ridiculous damage in a fight. It could literally, at level 6, you could do over 2,000 damage in a fight with one spell. It is that good, but it's hard. It's very hard, and your laning stage is absurdly hard. Right? It's absurdly hard. Also, I don't think Crusader and Archon bracket players have adapted yet to the fact that you can take your Q at level 1. A lot of people are still taking roll and just rolling in. You missed a roll, you end up under tower, and you're dead. And that's bad. So instead, if you just want a more reliable pick, right? If you want a more reliable pick CLOCKWERK, right? Because once again, the reality is the simpler the hero, often the better. That's why Ogre Magi has an absurd win rate from like Herald to Archon. Even in Ancient and Immortal, it's fine. But Earth Spirit in Immortal has a 50% win rate, right? So it's actually pretty high. But in Crusader and Archon, Earth Spirit's win rate is 44%, which is absurdly low, while CLOCKWERK's win rate in the same bracket is 10% higher at 54. So obviously you can see where I'm going here. You're better off picking CLOCKWERK. His spells are straightforward. I would say he's generally more tanky. You can buy a wand and earn. You can solo kill people, which, you know, is possible on Earth Spirit as well, but it's a lot more difficult for the same result, and therefore, just pick Clock. Next up is Ember Spirit, and this one, honestly, it hurts me to say, only because I do think Ember Spirit, once again, is one of those heroes, if you master it, you can do well. In fact, Earth Spirit in the Immortal bracket has a 49.42% win rate, which is Ember's overall highest win rate in any bracket. However, in this bracket, he has about a 45% win rate, you know, and that's just not, it's not that great. The reason for that is Ember is hard. Ember is very hard. This hero is naturally absurdly difficult, and people don't really understand how to position on Ember Spirit. Anytime I coach an Ember Spirit in this bracket, what happens? They overextend, they use remnants way too aggressively, they run out of mana, they don't have a magic wand for some reason, they don't use their bottle in between fights, and yeah, you just run out of mana and then insta-die. The thing is, Ember is one of the hardest heroes to kill in Dota, but at this bracket, he just seems to die willy-nilly because people constantly overcommit. So instead, just pick ZEUS. Just pick ZEUS. The reality is you can't really overcommit with ZEUS. You just buy an Aether Lens, you sit in the back, and you win the fight passively. And that's good enough. And finally is Invoker. Invoker's just trash. This hero's trash. Just pick Lone Druid. I mean, Lone Druid is probably getting a nerf soon, but like, it'll be good enough. Invoker's just, it's just trash. Just don't pick it. Just pick Lone Druid. You're gonna do much better. He's impossible to kill, literally impossible to kill. He doesn't die. He farms faster than Invoker. He lanes better than Invoker. He team fights just as well as Invoker. I swear, you could hit a 5-man EMP tornado, and it's like just as useful as hitting a 5-man Savage Roar. Not really, but you guys, you get the point. Just stop. Next up, we have the Legend and Ancient bracket. And first off, let's talk about Shadow Demon from the position 5/position 4 role. In this current bracket, Shadow Demon's win rate is not absurdly low. To be fair, it's not. It is a solid 47%, which is, you know, it's respectable. However, Bane right now, until he gets nerfed, is the better pick, especially in lane. For a couple of reasons. I think Shadow Demon is one of those heroes where if you understand it, like if you're a really good Shadow Demon, this hero puts in work. It puts in work during the lane, it puts in work during the mid. Late game, you shove in waves well, your hero's ability to teamfight can be on another level if you connect enough Shadow Poisons. This hero has the potential to just dominate matches. In fact, I've gained a ton of MMR playing Shadow Demon, so I'm not saying you can't play Shadow Demon, and that's the case for all these heroes. If you understand them well enough, and you spam them, and you watch videos on them, and you actually learn from your mistakes, you can play anything. But it's a lot easier to pick Bane. You're gonna win your lane, your mid game is fine, right? You can set up kills with Fiend's Grip off cooldown anytime you have it. Just smoke or run around with some +1 and you'll get a kill. And that's the thing, Shadow Demon can have a bit of a harder time. Your cast ranges are typically a lot lower. Your ultimate, it has a high cast range, but your disruption is harder to set up with. It also puts you out of position. You die much easily, right? Your hero's just naturally 10 times squishier than Bane, as you don't have brain sap and naturally high strength/strength gain, and therefore, I would suggest Bane. Next up is Gyro, and Gyro overall just has such a low win rate right now. This hero just struggles, and for good reason. Honestly, I feel like you have to pick this hero with like a heal comp, otherwise it just insta-dies. You have to pick it with like an IO or a Chen or something of the sort, otherwise it's just dead. So instead, if you want a high-tempo hero that does well in the laning stage and plays high-tempo mid-game, go for a RIKI and hit a good defusal timing. Next up is Shadow Fiend, and Shadow Fiend this is another hero that overall has a very low win rate within most of the brackets. It has around a 47% within this bracket, which isn't too bad. It's not terrible. You know, once again, you can get away with it. But on the other hand, you got CLINKZ, and CLINKZ has a 53% win rate within the Ancient and Legend bracket, which is its highest win rate in any bracket. And the reason for that is I think people start to understand how to play high tempo. They really start to understand who they can pick on, what heroes they can kill, what they can't, and CLINKZ is really dang good at that. Also, players are starting to get to the level around Legend and Ancient where they really can dominate lanes. Not necessarily always do, but they can, right? They start to do that. That's at least what I notice. And because of that, I think CLINKZ really can dominate a lot of lanes, even most lanes if you play it properly, and then play super high tempo with only a few stat items, which I think is very beneficial and puts this hero at a 53% win rate. And finally, let's get into the Divine and Immortal brackets. Number 1, we have PA. And yes, PA in the right match, if given a good laning stage, can do fantastic. And I do think that's the key to PA. If you can secure her a good lane in the Divine and Immortal bracket, and you can make sure that this hero scales, gets a good Deso or Battle Fury timing, and has other heroes to set her up, PA can be good. In fact, the hero can be great. It has a lot of good matchups with some of these current meta heroes. But the problem is, this meta also is very high tempo. It's the ZEUS meta. Beastmasters, Lycans, Nature's Prophets everywhere. Playing high tempo, shutting down PA's map, destroying her in lane. And then all of a sudden, this hero that usually has a 49, close to 50% win rate in the Herald bracket, because it will always come online and PA scales well, doesn't ever come online in Divine or Immortal, and therefore the hero struggles. So yeah, just pick Luna instead. You're much better in lane, you give armor, which is great against these current comps, and you can snowball with the boys. Also, you fight much better early on. It's just kind of win. Like, the thing about Luna right now is you go this Helm Dom, you're so much better early on than PA is. You're harder to kill. Eclipse actually allows you to have impact in the fights. The Lucent Beam talents are great for having impact even without that much items. And so yeah, I just think Luna's overall a better farming type of hero. Next up is Mars, and I don't want to say that Mars is bad. I feel like this hero in the right matchups is really good, like against Deuces and Drows and things like that. Mars, I think, can be really dang good, but one hero that I think is getting heavily undervalued at the moment, and I don't really understand why, but it's NIGHTSTALKER. NIGHTSTALKER has a 54, close to 53% win rate around this bracket. In fact, in the Ancient bracket, it actually does have a 54% win rate, higher than that. So yeah, NIGHTSTALKER, I don't know, this hero just doesn't get a good rep for some reason. It barely gets picked, from what I've seen, even though it seems to crush, and I really don't think this is cheese. Like, I don't think this is like, oh, the hero has a low pick rate, so it just happens to have a high win rate. I just think NIGHTSTALKER is good. You're so tanky. All you have to do is initiate fights all the time. Like, just run at their most farmed core. You completely disrupt the fight. You give insane vision, and you can actually out-vision game certain heroes like Beastmaster. It's close. Beastmaster's vision game is pretty top tier. That's why, frankly, I could have just recommended Beastmaster as well. Like, until this hero gets nerfed, woo, it's just so broken. It really is that broken. Like, Beastmaster's ridiculous. But nonetheless, NIGHTSTALKER, I do think is a good alternative to Mars. Has a good laning stage, decent laning stage. You know, high HP regen, decent armor, good attack damage. Just last in deny, pull the creep aggro, you'll be fine. You're chilling. And then mid game, I just think your hero is super useful. I think your silence is honestly one of the best spells in the game. It really can be. You can't use it off. You can't manta it off. You can't even illusion rune it off, right? Because that's a thing now. You can't even do that. And finally is GRIMSTROKE. And yeah, this one hurts to say because GRIMSTROKE is still in the pro scene getting picked all the time. All the time. And I think for good reason. This hero's ability to defend towers and teamfight is really strong. It also has a slow, a stun, and a silence, as well as a leash. Like, you just look at this hero and you look at its utility and you're like, this is the best hero in the game. But for some reason, in pubs, it just doesn't do well. In fact, in all brackets, it doesn't ever pass a 46% win rate. And in Divine and Immortal, it has below a 45% win rate. And I think the reason for this is people just, till the end of time, struggle to coordinate. And GRIMSTROKE does require some coordination. It also requires you to get pretty farmed as a support, in my opinion. You don't have to, I guess, but Aether Lens feels really good. You have to get all your spells off, you have to synergize with people, and synergy is hard. Frankly, I think if there's anything that separates professional teams from your average pro players, it's not necessarily mechanical skill, while that does come into play and largely is the case. It's often coordination and the ability to work together. It really is such a big deal that most players simply never even consider or work to fix at all. And so GRIMSTROKE kind of struggles for that reason, in my opinion. It's just one of those heroes that requires coordination with Inkswell and its ultimate. Even its silence requires some coordination. And therefore, in the Divine and Immortal bracket, you actually can pick CHEN instead. This hero has a really strong laning stage. It doesn't really require your team's coordination. You can actually become a core on CHEN to a large regard. Like, CHEN farms so fast, it's insane. You're like so fast. It's pretty dang ridiculous. Like, if you're a good CHEN player, you know that you should be getting neutral items for your team, right? You know that your hero can just dominate the laning stage, and you can even solo kill other supports, as well as the fact that you Rosh so well. I watched an EG game recently where they picked CHEN, and at the 12-minute mark, they Roshed. 12! How's that possible? Quap doesn't even do anything to Rosh, but they did, and that's why CHEN is kind of broken. If you understand this hero's advantages, he just farms fast, takes Rosh, solo kills heroes, split pushes, provides insane utility, like Alpha Wolves are ridiculous, Ice Armor creeps are ridiculous, the Magic Resist creep is still really dang good, and for that reason, if you're good at CHEN, you're just gonna stop. And that's all for today's video, but thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please do like and subscribe to help our channel grow, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Before you leave, just want to say a quick message. If you're trying to get better at Dota or you just enjoyed that video, I know this is pretty general, and you're going to hear this quite a bit from me, but I recommend you sign up to GAMELEAP.com. Why? Because I put a lot of effort into the content over there, and generally the effort I do there is different from the content you're going to see here on YouTube. It's different. In fact, I usually go a lot more in depth on topics or into niche topics that help you get to the next level even faster, because on YouTube, I often have to keep it more mainstream. That's even why I'm putting it at the end of this YouTube video. That's why this is at the end, because a lot of people just watch 5 minutes, they skip through just for like the dopamine spike. But if you are interested in actually getting better at Dota, I recommend you go to the description down below, get your discount right now by clicking the link, sign up, use the discount code that you're going to see there, and I hope to see you there right now. So click it, and yeah, thanks for watching.